Okay, it got sent, I think at the same time. Right, Ms. Lourdes? You want to find that? I don't know what date it was sent. I can look back.
A lot of stuff here.
They both were sent on Friday, May 8th. There were 2 files sent from Lourdes
Okay.
on May 8th. Can't hear you, Lourdes, if you're trying to talk. You're muted. Lourdes, there you
Sorry,
go.
I just sent them again, Chair.
Okay. Yeah, because I see the announcement regarding notice on the 8th. All right, whatever. You just sent them again, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Phyllis, is that better?
Yes, much better.
Perfect.
Whatever you did, it's good.
All right. Thank you, Lourdes. I just got it.
Great, you're welcome.
All right. I got it.
Councilor Fitzpatrick, I don't think I've ever seen you quite so hairy.
All right. So you want to take the roll call?
Sure. We usually start the meeting first with the public notice.
I'm just looking at the agenda here and it says roll call first. I'm just trying to stick to that.
Okay. I better open that one too. All right, absolutely. H. Foreman,
Yeah.
A. Impastato,
Here.
A. Lewitt,
Here.
D. Mello,
Here.
J. Sanford,
Here.
E. Seitzman, and I know you're here, Erica, you're muted.
Here.
Here, and L.J. Smith. And Levon is muted as well.
Okay.
Here.
I would like to advise those present that notification of this annual reorganization meeting of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken has been provided to the public in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. Notice of this annual reorganization meeting of Thursday, May 14th, 2020 was given by publication of the annual meeting notice of the authority with amendments as necessary and was sent to the Jersey Journal and Star Ledger as a public notice on Tuesday, May 5th, 2020. As notification to the general public of the meeting and sent to the city clerk of Hoboken on Tuesday, May 5th, 2020, with a copy of the agenda to be posted on the bulletin board in City Hall, Hoboken Library, and Hoboken Police Department. I direct the minutes of this meeting to state that I have announced that adequate notice of this meeting has been given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. In addition, I direct that the minutes of this meeting to state the following. As a result of the restrictions established by Executive Order 107 issued by the Governor of New Jersey with respect to the need to limit public gatherings to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, the meeting will be conducted exclusively through the use of communications equipment. This procedure is in accordance with NJSA 10:4-9.3, which states that a public body shall not be deemed to have violated any provision of the Open Public Meetings Act in conducting a meeting by means of communications or other electronic equipment. In addition, this procedure complies with Article 3, Section 7 of the Authority Bylaws, which allows for participation in authority meetings by members of the Board of Commissions, by means of telephone conference or similar communications equipment. And then before I turn it over to the executive director, I guess we should stand for the pledge. Yeah, stand for the pledge. All right. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
All right, Executive Director.
Thank you. At this time, I open the floor for nominations for chair.
I nominate Dave Mello.
Any further nominations? In that case, nominations are closed. And we'll now take a vote on the nomination of Commissioner Mello as chair. H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
No.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L.J. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations, Commissioner Mello.
Thank
on
you.
your election as chair for the coming year. And now I will move on to open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Erica for vice chair.
I second.
Who said that? Who said I second?
Commissioner Sanford.
Okay.
Counselor, I'm not sure we need a second on these, but,
You do not. That is correct.
okay, very good. Any further nominations? If there's no further nominations, I'll declare nominations closed. And we'll now take a vote of Commissioner Seitzman as vice chair of the board for the year ending May 13th, 2021. H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L.J. Smith.
Yes.
Thank you all. And congratulations, Miss Erica.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And now, Chairman, we have a resolution to adopt a schedule of regular meetings. Dave, you want to jump back in on that one?
Yeah, I'm just pulling up everything to,
Sure.
I had to switch computers because my other computer wasn't cooperating and,
Technology.
yep. All right, so we have as number 5, the resolution 2020-00-01. That's supposed to be done at the reorg, or that's supposed to be done at the regular meeting?
The reorg.
Okay. All right, so resolution number 2020-00.01, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to adopt a schedule of regular meetings for the period from May 14th, 2020 through May 13th, 2021. And well, first of all, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. I think as always, sometimes things come up where we have to change a meeting. So I don't see any reason why that couldn't happen. I mean, this year of all years, we might need a changing down the line. But I just want to confirm with our attorneys that that's not a problem if we have to make adjustments to this schedule down the line, correct?
That's correct. It's not a problem. In
Okay.
fact, to the contrary, if we adopt this, as long as we anticipate the change at any meeting, we can do it. We simply publish an amended annual notice. If we don't adopt this, the problem is that every month we have to publish a much more complicated notice. And we're required to put this out if we're going to use the full procedures of the Sunshine Law in order to go from month to month. In almost every case, this meeting is the date provided for in the bylaws, although, as you say, Chair, the bylaws do permit us to change the date from time to time. I think there's one modification, right, Matt? We changed one meeting because of how it backed up to something.
Right. We discussed it with the
July 4th.
director. Director, you might want to address that.
No, we just decided the only one we could see for the year that would create a problem would be July 4th. So we decided, I snuck in there that we should move that out to the third Thursday on July 16th. And just do that straight out of the box because we know July is going to be always an issue.
So that is already on the schedule before you.
Yes. That would be adopted tonight.
All right, great. Yeah, July 16th, correct?
Yes.
Great. All right, so any questions about this schedule beyond what has already been raised? All right, if we could have a vote, please.
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Abstain.
J. Seitzman,
Yes.
and L. Smith.
Yes.
And on the revised
Is
agenda,
that
there's
a motion to adjourn until
there's
7
one
o'clock?
more resolution, Mr. Chairman,
Oh, that's right, that's right.
revised,
That's during the, well, two more, correct?
well, I think we've only got one more and then the adjournment, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Okay. All right, resolution number 2020-00.02. A resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to appoint 2 commissioners of the Authority of Trustees to the Board of Housing for Hoboken Incorporated. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right.
In order to consider this resolution, you will need to fill in the blanks.
All right. Well, I'd like to nominate Aaron Lewitt to continue and Erica Seitzman.
If that's your proposal, Chair, that really needs to be moved and seconded.
Okay, so I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
This resolution is provided for in the documents that were approved previously by the Housing Authority to create and organize housing for Hoboken.
Right.
And on a yearly basis, pursuant to those documents, at the annual meeting of the authority in May, you're supposed to appoint 2 members of your Housing Authority Commissioner Board to be 2 of the trustees of Housing for Hoboken.
Right.
We did that last year. The fact that it wasn't on the original agenda is entirely forgetfulness on my part, because Matthew and I were redoing all the public notices for this meeting to comply with COVID. And in the process, even though we knew that we had to do it, we left it off.
And I will add, just for background, particularly for Commissioner Smith, the chair of the Housing Authorities Board is automatically a trustee of the Housing for Hoboken Board. And then there are 2 additional Housing Authority Commissioner trustees. And those are the 2 individuals who would be appointed if resolution is passed tonight.
Thank you.
All right, so we've done everything procedurally correctly, and that we had a motion and a second for the 2 names.
Right, so now the resolution before you is the amendment of the resolution to add 2 names.
Okay. All right, so can we have a vote?
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
No.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so
now-
that, Mr. Chair, was the motion to amend. Now the resolution itself with, as amended with the 2 names inserted, that would be Commissioner Seitzman and Commissioner Lewitt,
Okay.
is what's before the board.
All right. All right, so could we have a vote on the amended resolution, which now includes those 2 names?
Yes, we have H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
No.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith.
Yes.
All right, now I believe it's time to make a motion to adjourn. I'll make the motion to adjourn until 7 o'clock.
Second.
Could we have a vote, please?
You want a roll call vote?
Yeah, just since we're doing it via Zoom.
Sure. H. Foreman,
Yep.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith.
Yes.
Well, we're just going to leave this open and we'll see you at 7 o'clock.
All right.
Wendy, we can stay on.
That's correct.
Okay.
I will ask after this, I don't know if the director just stepped away for a minute. Oh, there you are, director. It might be a good idea, Wendy, similar to last time, if we could stop the recording
Yep.
now and then restart it at 7 o'clock.
Sounds good. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, if it's okay with you, after you give the announcement regarding notice, as I mentioned, I will read the announcement that we used last month regarding public comment.
So that sounds great.
Okay.
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I guess we'll get things underway. So I would like to advise those present that notice of this regular meeting of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken has been provided to the public in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. Notice of this regular meeting of Thursday, May 14th, 2020 was given by publication of the annual meeting notice of the authority with amendments as necessary and was sent to the Jersey Journal and Star Ledger as public notice on Tuesday, May 5th, 2020, as notification to the general public of the meeting, and sent to the city clerk of Hoboken on Tuesday, May 5th, 2020, with a copy of the agenda to be posted on the bulletin board in City Hall, Hoboken Library, and Hoboken Police Department. I direct the minutes of this meeting to state that I have announced that adequate notice of this meeting has been given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act. In addition, I direct that the minutes of this meeting to state the following. As a result of the restrictions established by Executive Order 107 issued by the Governor of New Jersey with respect to the need to limit public gatherings to mitigate the spread of COVID-19, the meeting will be conducted exclusively through the use of communications equipment. This procedure is in accordance with NJSA 10:4-9.3, which states that a public body shall not be deemed to have violated any provision of the Open Public Meetings Act in conducting a meeting by means of communication or other electronic equipment. In addition, this procedure complies with Article 3, Section 7 of the Authority Bylaws, which allows for participation in authority meetings by members of the Board of Commissioners by means of telephone conference or similar communications equipment. Now, if you could read the additional notice.
Mr. Chair, you may want to do the pledge and the roll call, and then
That's true.
I
Okay.
will take over.
If we could take the roll call, please, Executive Director.
H. Foreman,
Here.
A. Impastato,
Present.
A. Lewitt,
Present.
D. Mello,
Present.
J. Sanford. I think you're muted.
Present.
There you go. E. Seitzman
Present.
and L. Smith.
Present.
All right, if we could stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the
of the
flag
United States of America,
and to the
To
republic,
the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
So now, Mr. Fitzpatrick, if you could read that addendum.
Sure, Mr. Chair. In keeping with the Housing Authority's normal practice of affording members of the public the opportunity to comment at monthly board meetings, the authority will be accepting comment during this meeting in one of three ways. First, comments can be sent by email to info@myhhnj.com from now until 7:30 p.m. Second, if you're participating in the meeting using a web browser or smart device, you can submit comment using the chat function. This function can be accessed by clicking the chat speech bubble icon, most likely at the bottom of your screen. We ask that any member of the public who wishes to submit comment using the chat function try to limit themselves to a single submission rather than submitting multiple brief comments. Any comment received by 7:30 p.m., either by email or through the Zoom chat function, will be read aloud by an authority representative for all attendees of the meeting to hear. Third, if you're participating by telephone and do not have access to one of the first two methods of comment, beginning at approximately 7:30 p.m., the authority will allow access to participants one at a time to comment using their telephone. Please note that the standard practice of the executive director and members of the board is to refrain from engaging in a back and forth discussion during the public comment portion of authority meeting. However, in light of the ongoing crisis, the authority realizes that it may be necessary to address questions or concerns raised by the public related to COVID-19. Finally, while the authority understands that the concerns of residents and other members of the public are not limited to COVID-19 related issues, the executive director and members of the board request that those who wish to comment be mindful of one another and attempt to limit public comment to urgent matters facing the authority community. This will help to ensure that all members of the public who wish to speak can do so in a timely manner. On behalf of the authority, we thank you in advance for your patience and understanding. At this time, in order to allow more time for members of the public to submit comment in advance of 7:30, I recommend that the board consider adopting a resolution to reorder the agenda to allow the executive director to present his report.
Okay, great. All right, so first we're going to have the executive director read his report.
My recommendation is that you consider, the board consider a motion, which would require a motion and a second
And the agenda.
to reorder the agenda to have public comment period come a little bit later and have the executive director's report come now.
I'll make a motion to suspend the agenda and move the public portion to after resolutions. Is that your recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, so I make a motion to suspend the agenda and to move the public portion to immediately precede all resolutions.
I'll second that.
Okay. L. Smith seconded.
All right. Can we have a vote, please?
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Abstain.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith.
Yes.
Very good. That means I'm on, right?
That means you're on.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for members of the public that have tuned in. To the board, I have never been this late with my executive director's report to you, and I sincerely apologize. But I hope you understand these are exceptional times. And the last few days have been not only busy with the COVID crisis and deliveries, but a construction meeting that popped up yesterday that took almost the whole day, and as well as a couple issues that came up here last minute starting yesterday. So thank you for your forbearance on that. We'll be back, I guarantee, to a regular schedule no later than the day before next month with full attachments. As I mentioned, I'll be suspending some of the report tonight. Some of the attachments are really just repeats since we haven't been doing much in the way of move-ins or move-outs. But the Resident Services Committee has been meeting on a call twice a week since the last board meeting. We have been reviewing the Housing Authority's response on all levels with Dave, Andrew, and Erica giving their guidance and support on a regular basis. We've also expanded for HHA to be a major part of the what's called the Senior Task Force for Hoboken. And I don't know whether Andrew or Dave might want to say a thing or two about that since I'm at that location right now. I think that's been a great effort with a much larger group getting together and talking about where HHA and all of Hoboken is with their response to the seniors. And it's been a major part of our efforts over the past month.
Yeah, Commissioner Impastato, do you think you could give an overview of what the Senior Task Force has been working on with that really sprung out of the Resident Services Committee?
Sure. Yeah, we were tasked with three main goals. One was to expand the food services and grocery services that the food pantry, Hoboken Food Pantry, was already doing to expand to all of our seniors into our main campus. The second task was to try to source and find as many hand sanitizers and cleaning materials such as Lysol wipes to get for our seniors. And then the third was just to make sure that we can create like a buddy check-in program that keeps our seniors engaged and making sure that they're mentally strong, someone to talk to on the phone to answer any questions they might have. And this task force is diversified geographically through Hoboken, and as well as just, there's politicians, there's council people, there's developers, there's, commissioners such as ourselves, regular residents. So we're definitely diversified in a lot of different resources, and it's done a fantastic job in trying to develop and execute on those three different tasks. We've sourced over 3,000 hand sanitizers for our seniors. We've developed a buddy check-in program where the training is going on right now as we speak. We've collected almost 200 phone numbers of seniors that we're going to be calling, mostly in our HHA. And we've provided food and groceries to over 3,300 families through the food pantry. So it's going to be hard to find a housing authority that has benefited from this task force. I would think in the state of New Jersey, and maybe in the country. So this task force has done an unbelievable job in a really tight resource and tight timeline to execute on those three different things. It's the entire city coming together and helping out, and it's really benefited our housing authority residents, specifically our seniors, in a time where they're the most vulnerable people that currently exist to this pandemic. Kudos go to Director Recco for working as a liaison between what's being done in that task force and how the HHA can help maintain and make things more efficient, as well as the staff just working around the clock, resident volunteers to help this task force get things delivered in a timely fashion to as many seniors as possible. It was created to make sure that the seniors are kept in safe place and in our minds. And we've worked effortlessly to make sure that's been executed. And I think it's been unbelievable what the task force has done in helping our residents of the housing authority.
Yeah. And I'll just add to that, you know, people from all corners of the city have helped out with that. So, you know, thank you to the city itself and to Director Pellegrini in particular, and then OEM and Sergeant Martinez and everybody who's involved with OEM for clearing up funding for different things, the various council people, you know, particularly Councilman Ramos, Falco, and Fisher, who are on the task force, Assemblywoman Chaparro, Freeholder Romano, just everybody involved. The food bank has done, you know, the bulk of the heavy lifting with getting things delivered. I know Commissioner Lewitt is part of the board over there. So it's just like, it's come from all corners. And then there's things beyond the task force too that have been done. Like, you know, I want to thank Commissioner Sanford for the provision of a tremendous number of masks. There's just been so many things done, and Commissioner Impastato's work has been amazing in getting in touch with different distributors who have been able to get us much needed products directly to the seniors. So been an amazing effort to be, you know, play a very small part in across the board. And thank you to our director and to our HHA staff who have been frontline facilitators of everything that's been given to our seniors.
Yeah, Danny Perez over there. Danny's just really bent over backwards, worked tirelessly on that, but I'm incredibly proud of the entire staff for what they've done. It hasn't been perfect. You know, we get donations as we can. Sometimes there's not enough to go to everybody on one particular day, but we work with the food bank, we work with the city and trying to make sure that the next round goes to people that haven't got it on the first round. And then of course there's individual donations come in that we try to deal with. We've had some donations come in 15 minutes before they arrived here, and we've had to mobilize on the spur of the moment. But I'm really proud of what staff's done here. So, and I'm really, really thankful, Commissioner Impastato, Mello, Seitzman for the work of the senior task force, because we are not an island here at the Housing Authority. This integrates us with the rest of the city. And as you know, we have other elderly buildings here in Hoboken. And it allows us the opportunity to coordinate with what they need as well. And it's just a great effort, and it's made me much more aware of the elderly population and disabled population throughout the city and how we can better coordinate them. I think we're going to come out of this, because of that effort, a lot stronger on the other side, expanding our Resident Services Committee at this crisis point to include more of Hoboken. So thank you so much. It's really making some things happen. So thank you for that. We are continuing to meet with my staff every morning at 10 a.m. We get together with the directors and our management staff to go over our daily activities, staffing levels, issues, and supplies. I continue to be on the Hoboken COVID-19 task force daily at 1 o'clock to coordinate with the city, led by the city. Leo over there and Sergeant Martinez is pushing that charge, along with the schools, the health department, New Jersey Transit, Stevens, the police and fire on the daily calls. We appreciate all of that work that folks are coming out and doing every day. Big news last week, HUD has made available funds to pay for COVID-19 related emergency work and supplies at the Housing Authority. This comes through the CARE Act that was passed in Washington, D.C. And I must say that one of the first times HUD's really done this right. I really appreciate this. They have made funds available to us to immediately use, a bit over $1 million that we can spend on COVID-19 related emergency work. This is will allow us to cover our costs of disinfecting, buying supplies, cleaning, staff cost reimbursement, our overtime and extra staff that we've brought on that I'll mention later, our PPE equipment, and supplies directly related to the crisis. We have brought on 5 new part-time employees. We're still looking for a couple more because we, as I'll mention later, we have had some folks that have gone out because of COVID-related issues. Some of our staff has not been able to work. So we did a little dip in staff, and now we're back up, making up for that. But we need a little more than usual because we're making sure we disinfect every day, even on weekends, holidays, what have you. So we're making sure we're out there working every day. On resident testing through the city, 221 Jackson was tested on Wednesday, May 5th. They were at 221 Jackson in Monroe Gardens. 79 tests were performed on site. 3 residents tested positive out of the 79, and 1 home care person that worked for one of the residents was also tested, and they tested positive. So that's a pretty good record. Not bad. Out of 79 folks, we had 3 folks. Of course, you'd love 0. But it does show that a lot of our efforts on disinfecting and cleaning out there are working. In fact, the Lynette over at the health department told me clearly at our task force meeting that whatever we're doing, we should keep on doing because our rates of infection here at the Housing Authority are lower than the average for the rest of Hoboken. So we hope to continue that, and we want to keep that going. But I think our staff's hard work is showing some benefits. Adams was tested yesterday. We don't have the results of Adams. I understand they had a good turnout. Should have the results within the next 48 hours on what happened at Adams. I'll probably have those figures on Monday. Fox Hill testing will take place on Tuesday, May 19th. The city will be over at Fox Hill with free testing for all of the residents on Tuesday, May 19th. On our cleaning and disinfecting initiative, our special initiative funded by the city, it was done by the contractor Made in Hoboken. They have completed a cleaning and disinfecting procedure in all of our buildings. Thanks on that first round for the city to supply their funding through their FEMA CDBG funds.
Director, you're kind of breaking up a little.
Can you hear me any better now?
It was just like some kind of a noise going on.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, maybe somebody's got it on speaker. We have completed the cycle. We are going to be continuing that cycle on about a 30-day cycle for the complete disinfecting of all of our buildings. I'm working with Made in Hoboken for a proposal on that cycle right now. We will thankfully be able to pay for that through the CARE Act funds that have come to us through HUD. So we can continue that on into the future as long as this crisis lasts.
Mark, sorry to interrupt, can you talk about how the funds are being used and what is the process and guidelines to use those funds for certain things?
Sure, absolutely. HUD is allowing us to use it for anything that's COVID-19 related that would be that would otherwise be a normal operating expense for the Housing Authority. So if we go out there and have overtime work done, we can compensate ourselves for that overtime work. If we hire new employees to come in, and we've been doing that on our part-time employees, it will cover the cost of those employees. If we go out and purchase disinfectant, which we've been doing, making purchases above and beyond, they are going to want to know that it's above and beyond our normal purchases of items. We can compensate ourselves for those purchases. So anything in that normal operating area of operating for a housing authority, we can compensate ourselves out of the COVID-19 funds. And of course, this money actually hit us last week. So Emil and I are preparing a budget for these funds that we'll be able to share with you at the next meeting. We are going to try to make sure that we have enough of these funds. We're kind of looking at September, October, to make sure that we don't spend all these funds right out of the gate. HUD's rule right now is that we need to expend these funds by December. So they're looking at the end of the calendar year to have these funds available to us. Of course, end of the world wouldn't be if we have some left over and they take it back. It just means we didn't need it. But we will be able to cover our COVID-19 expenses through those funds. Does that answer your question, Commissioner?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
And Mark, does that also include if we have, like, let's say more employees out because they're quarantining?
Yes.
That includes the coverage for those employees, even though that would be regular service, right?
Yes. Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Thank
And
you.
we do have a number of those. We continue with our disinfectant routines at all of our sites, and I'm incredibly proud of our staff. I just need to keep repeating it. We get a lot of positives for our first line of defense, our police, our firemen, our hospital workers, yes, but our people are also going into units where people either have been diagnosed and tested positive for COVID or may be. And they're going every day into our hallways, cleaning our banisters, disinfecting our elevators, and they are putting themselves at risk, and they are coming to work, and they're making it happen. And I just can't tell you how proud I am of those folks that are coming and working day to day. Not only our employees, but our volunteers that are coming and distributing meals and distributing things out there. Just couldn't tell you how proud I am. On our supplies, we're doing much better than I reported last month. We're overall good. Sergeant Martinez of Hoboken OEM has been great on any specific need we need. If we need some overall protective gear, he is there to look for it for us. I can't thank Commissioner Sanford enough for his donation of masks. He's donated well over 4,000 masks to us. We've used that for staff, and we've done a distribution to all of our units of masks, and as well as covering staff. We have another distribution that's going to be coming up next week for another round of distribution that Commissioner Sanford has donated, so we can donate masks to each and every one of our families. Now, the way we're doing that is we're going out and we're knocking on doors, and we're handing that merchandise, that object to a resident. If they're not home, we come back twice. We try to reach them. There are some folks that have left town we haven't been able to reach, and if somebody's not home, we do encourage anyone that needs an item that may not have been home when we've reached them to call us. We'll do a special delivery to them. So we want to pass the word to anyone out there that needs any PPEs, any items, or really has any other need, because our contacts are great out there, to please contact us and we'll make sure things get delivered to you. We've had folks contacting us that need anything from diapers to rubbing alcohol to toys for their kids. That's a new one coming up pretty strong these days. Kids are home and they're bored. So we're trying to react the best we can on items. But again,
Mark,
yes, go on.
quick question for you. The Hudson County through Freeholder Romano said that they have 30,000 masks that they're looking to give out.
Yes.
Did the Hoboken Housing Authority, he was asking which entities need them the most. I suggested he reach out to you. Are we getting masks also from Hudson County?
No, we haven't. And again, I'd be glad to. The initiative by Commissioner Sanford is great, but when we have 4,000 or 5,000 masks, you got to figure we have 1,353 units. And then if you've got a household with 4 or 5 people in it, those masks go fast, right? You just do the math on that. So I, and as I know personally, I can go through 3 or 4 mass a week anyway. Um, so anything like that we can arrange would be really welcome, because people need
Okay, so
mass.
we'll connect you with him.
Would love to. Absolutely. We continue to post our pictures on social media. I think we've got some great stuff that's been coming out of our staff, and I've got many more to come on them working hard out there. Our community rooms continue to be closed with the exception of the 411 Marshall Community Room that we're using as a drop-off and distribution center for food for our residents. We then distribute that food from HHA staff and volunteers. Before I go on to the city's elderly program, we are asking, and just put the word out, if somebody wants to donate, please get in touch with us. Organization is crucial. We have a good organizational structure. Again, a lot of kudos out to Mr. Perez out there for being on the front line of that. We have a good organizational structure, but if somebody comes out and just says, we'll be here in 15 minutes with tons of stuff, wow, it's tough. It's really tough. So, if we plan it, we can have it. If you get in touch with us and say, we'll be here tomorrow at noon, we will make sure we have some volunteers lined up, that we bring it to the right place, that we organize it well, and then distribute it from there. So it's not just kind of a free for all. So we're able to track it. We have learned that that's really crucial in this, that they come through us, have them call me first so we can organize it and get the right distribution thing going. I think Commissioner Impastato today at Fox Hill, I think with the pizzas, it did very, very well. And our others' experiences have done with that, have done very well. We had one that was tough because we didn't get enough notice, and folks started coming out of the woodwork on the street looking for pieces of pizza. It didn't go very well, but that didn't follow that good pattern. So yeah, have them get in touch with us, and we welcome it, and we're thankful for it. The elderly food program from the city continues to deliver meals to the elderly buildings 3 times a week, and it's expected to continue at least through the end of May. Thank you to the city for that. There's some talk about extending it, but we're not sure what's going to happen with that as of yet. The food program is as follows, and Mr. Perez, if you want to jump on in here, I see you're on mute for the moment, Danny, but you want to give us a quick rundown of how the city's food is distributed and how the food bank is distributed and how they're divided, so everyone understands that.
So yeah, the city has been doing a phenomenal job with, of course, their volunteers and also Director Pellegrini. Meals are delivered 3 times a week to our senior buildings, Adams, Monroe, and Fox Hill. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The meals are delivered to the location. The volunteers arrive at around 8:30 to 9 a.m. They pack all of the meals, and then they deliver these meals, of course, door to door to all of our seniors. On the family side, the Hoboken Food Pantry delivers Tuesdays and Fridays, groceries as well as frozen meals to our senior and family residents as well. The program that the Hoboken Food Pantry is running is phenomenal. They continue to provide groceries to all of our families. We encourage, of course, our families and to continually communicate with the food pantry as to their need. We delivered all of these items to all of the residents in our main campus, as well as Christopher Columbus. And of course, our volunteers, our resident leader, Mr. Joe McDonald, has been phenomenal from the first day that the crisis began and the food pantry began to work with the housing authority in making sure that groceries are available to our families. Mr. Joe McDonald was there available as a volunteer, as well as his family, to be able to support these efforts. So thank you to the city of Hoboken and all of the folks involved in that end. in making sure that our families, our seniors are receiving meals 3 times a week. And also in our family units, seniors also are being served through the food pantry, not just with meals, but also with groceries.
Daniel, if you would, I'd like you to address this this question that's come up quite often, and it came up in a resident's question that we'll mention later as well. That the senior buildings are getting, the senior elderly and disabled might be getting a slightly different product, I'm sorry, than the elderly and disabled at the family campuses. We have supplied a listing of elderly and disabled families at our main campus and at Christopher Columbus to the city and to the food bank. So we have identified those folks to the folks that do want to contribute and give. But how is that done differently for the folks that may be living in elderly disabled folks that may be living in a family development as opposed to the elderly disabled folks that are living at one of our elderly disabled buildings?
So the difference is that the goal is, of course, in our senior developments is to make sure that our seniors stay put. However, in our family units, many of our seniors actually live with grandchildren and other folks in our household. So of course the needs are different. So a meal that may be able to be provided to a senior living in one of our senior buildings for 1 or 2 persons may be enough for them to last 2 days. When the city delivers on Monday, it lasts from Monday to Wednesday, and then on Wednesday they deliver, and that lasts till Friday, and then Friday is delivered, and then that lasts the whole weekend. But in our family unit, sometimes you have, the grandfather, and then you have 2 or 3 other kids living at home, so the needs are different. So of course they receive a little bit more, depending on their need. We have a grandmother that lost her husband, and she has 3 grandkids and her daughter. So of course her needs are going to be different. So the Hoboken Food Pantry delivers a little bit more to that particular family. So it just depends on the need. And of course in our family units, the needs are different because the households are bigger.
But the concept is that the city program that provides those meals to our elderly and disabled sites also provide the meals to our families at the family developments.
Yeah, they do provide, yes. And also some of the deliveries are not even made by us. The city, they take it upon themselves and they make any number of deliveries to many of the families. So sometimes our families in our family units, they may get from the city, of course, the food pantry, and also from the Jubilee Center. So yeah, our families are definitely, or our seniors in our family units are receiving a little bit more than our senior buildings, but that has to do with the household size.
Yeah, and then last but not least, the needs of the families that are not elderly or disabled, they're pretty much under the purview of the food pantry delivery system, correct?
That's right, yeah. So when we get for the seniors, we also receive for the families that have made the request. And we also make deliveries to those families, of course, based on household size. So, a family of 2 may get, 1 or 2 bags, depending on their requests and their needs as well. And a family of 5, of course, may get either a box or 2 boxes for the week from the food pantry. And of course, the seniors and the families, they reach out to the food pantry and make the specific request based on their, particular diet. Some folks request, low sodium and other things. So those needs are met through the food pantry as well.
Okay.
And Director,
Yes.
we are working with Danny to try to see how some of those hand sanitizers and Lysol cleaning equipment might not have gotten to the seniors that they were intended for.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I know that we've had about 4 or 5 different seniors reach out to us saying, "Hey, I never got the hand sanitizer. I never got the Lysol cleaning equipment." Is there a way we can firm that up? I know you guys are doing everything you can with knocking on the door, or maybe it's just something that just slips up and we just don't get to them. But can we make sure that those that call us, the senior task force, they are given what they should be?
Of course. And I've heard that too, but Daniel, you want to respond a bit because you're in the middle of it?
Yes, sir. Commissioner, if you have the names of those individuals, of course, that have made that request, to the task force, please send it to us so that way we can know. But for the sanitizers and disinfectant spray and toilet paper that we received from the food pantry, they were already assigned to about 80 seniors. And all of those were delivered, with one exception, when one person actually refused. But all of those were delivered. But nonetheless, if you have any list of any individuals that they thought expected or were expecting something, please let us know. But the list that we received from the food pantry was only for those 80 seniors.
So
yeah.
just to be clear here, are you saying that only 80 seniors received hand sanitizer and cleaning materials? Because we've been told that every single senior in the housing authority have been given those products.
No, the food pantry delivered to our main campus 80 bags of disinfectant spray, sanitizer, a bar of soap, and toilet paper for 80 seniors, and that's it.
How many seniors are in the main campus?
Oh gosh,
200 and some.
yeah,
200 and some.
yeah.
All right, so that's something I have to address that with the food pantry, because we had enough hand sanitizer and Lysol cleaning products to be given out to all 200 of them.
Mm-hmm.
We did not receive. We only received 80, and that's what
I'll follow up with them.
Yeah.
Please, yeah.
Yeah. I hope you understand we're kind of the middleman there.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it.
All right. Thank you,
Also,
Danny.
the senior buildings, though, have all received everything they've all received a cleaning bundle, correct?
Yeah, the senior buildings operate differently because of the thing is, like, for example, you have an individual, let's say, donors that may select a building and say, okay, I'm going to donate masks or gloves or hand sanitizer or disinfecting wipes, things like that. And also the city delivered to all of the seniors sanitizers. So the senior buildings have received that, but the senior buildings may also receive a little bit more depending on individual donors that may choose, let's say, Fox Hill or Adams and Monroe, and they want to do something special for that community.
I got you.
I also want to point out that Barbara Reyes has posted an answer on the Q&A. So.
Okay, and we'll be there on the resident portion. Is that right? Okay. Great. We'll answer all Barbara's concerns when that comes up, because she had some questions regarding this very topic.
Yeah, and if I just could, we made the motion to suspend the agenda and move. We have 3 resolutions for consideration tonight. After those 3 resolutions are considered and voted upon, the next portion of the meeting will be the public portion, because we suspended the agenda and reordered it. And comments should only be made during that time. Now, the Q&A, I think, can be read into the record during that time. But the chat function should not be commented on by members of the public. That's my view. That's the equivalent of somebody shouting over the proceeding. And they would potentially be removed from the meeting if they were doing that in a live meeting. So if I could just ask people to refrain from entering into the chat. I didn't think that was actually something that non-members of the board or the executive would be allowed to do, but fine. We're in the
Well, if I could just speak on that for a second, Mr. Chair. The chat function is one of the methods by which comment can be made, as stated at the beginning of the meeting. And just so the record is clear, we did get some brief comment. So at 7:28, I typed into the chat, as mentioned near the top of the meeting. Any comment submitted by chat by 7:30 will be read aloud by an authority staff member. We ask that any member of the public who wishes to submit comment using this chat function try to limit themselves to a single submission rather than submitting multiple brief comment. Thank you. And that's part of the same message that was read at the top of the meeting. So for anyone who couldn't join us at the top of the meeting, that's just to reiterate that point.
Okay, but if a member of the public is here, we're going to be able to let them join telephonically, correct?
Correct. If anyone
Mello,
is
you're-
attending the
wait a
meeting and
second.
wishes,
Wait a second, Mr. Mello, your voice is breaking up. I didn't hear what you said.
If a member of the public has made a comment or two on the chat function, but they're here when we have the public portion, I would prefer that they just be able to have their time during the public portion rather than have somebody make their comments.
that's correct. If there is a member of the public who is participating in the meeting and intends to participate using the audio and video functions of the Zoom conference, when it comes to that point, it would be preferred if they held comments until then so that there wasn't both a comment during the chat function portion and the audio visual telephone, if you will, portion.
All right, thank you. All right, so
By the way, I could, as a admin here, I could turn it on and off. If we want people to not able to post the comments after 7:30, we could do that too, from technical perspective.
Yeah, I think you should do that.
I will leave that to the chair. That was part of the message at the beginning of the meeting. That is consistent with the standard practice in live meeting.
absolutely, I agree 100% with that. Okay, so we're moving forward to resolutions, correct?
Well, give me just a couple more things on my
Go ahead,
report.
Director.
Because I do want to tell you that we've had 39 of our staff tested, of which 5 have tested positive. 1 has returned, and then 5 more staff on top of that are self-quarantining. So again, we're with our size staff of around 50, about 10 to 11 people out is quite a bit. But we're maintaining. I want to say that late fees continue to be waived for both April and May rent, to make that part of the record. And again, to remind anyone out there that our management staff is accepting changes to individuals' rent levels over the telephone. I usually had to bring in documentation on that, but we can change folks' rent levels, and we have been. I think many people have taken advantage of that. Our Dropbox system is continuing to work well. I do want to report, and if nothing else, I want to report that we are starting our roofing project next week. Yay, our housing finance agency money that we've been working so hard on for so long. The project starts next week. The contractor is mobilizing. We will be replacing roofs starting at Andrew Jackson South beginning next week. We are putting the whole package together now. We are going to be using some parking areas over by 400 and 320 Marshall. Very limited amount of spaces. That space that staff and a few residents park behind 400, and between 300 and 310. We're going to be using about 6 spaces over there for a short period so the contractor can set up his crane, mobilize. So we are starting that project. If it wasn't COVID times, I'd invite a bunch of folks onto the roof to do a roof breaking or groundbreaking, because we've been working on this, as you know, for 3 years now. And it's just exciting that we're going to be at a place where all of our roofs are going to be less than 5 years old. After that, we're moving on to the backflow preventer project and the elevator project. Right now, it looks like the first elevator, new elevator, will be installed in August. Okay, so that means during July, we're going to be starting our relocation. We still have a little time left on that, but we'll be working with families during June to prepare, and then doing our first relocation in July in anticipation of our first elevator going in in August, so I couldn't be more excited about that. We are starting our boiler project as soon as the boilers quit functioning here in a couple weeks. It's getting warm. The boiler should go down here in a couple of weeks. We're going to be starting our boiler project, again, coming out of the other side of that for the first time with at least one boiler under 5 years old at each of our locations. Really, really looking forward to that. So that's the big news. Our other construction projects are all kind of winding down at this point. We've still got the sewer project at Adams on hold until the COVID crisis has come down. I don't see anything else that's critically important here in my report. But again, I appreciate everyone's support as we go through this. And I will try to involve you as much as possible and keep you updated on our construction project as we jump into replacing our roofs and our elevators. Thank you so much.
Director, I have one question there.
Sure.
The relocation for the elevators.
Yes.
Are we, obviously a lot of things can change from now to June or July.
Yes.
Are we safe and we're comfortable with relocating people and having to move locations during a pandemic as such?
Yeah, so far, but we have had conversations saying that as we get to June, mid-June, we're going to step back and reevaluate again to see where we and the country's at, because clearly, if there are major issues here, we're clearly going to have to look at a delay. We do not want that to happen, but we will be reevaluating as the next few months happen. We didn't know where we couldn't imagine 2 months ago where we'd be today, and I'm having a hard time with the crystal ball of saying where we're going to be in July and August.
How many residents for that August installation of the elevator are going to be relocated?
That's a great question. Do you remember, Olivia, as you're here, what our first phase includes? You're on mute, Olivia. There you go.
There's a total of 74 in total. There'll be, I believe, 40 something in the first phase, and the rest will be on the second one.
Yeah, I mean that seems like a big ordeal. Again, we don't know what's going to happen, but the mayor has already said and put out that you should halt all moving if you're planning on moving and it's not you should halt it. So obviously by July it's going to be a lot different, but that's something we should look more closely as we get closer, right?
We agreed, and we are working closely with the contractor on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on my report?
Yeah, Director, this is a small thing, but I'm concerned about the work that the Girl Scouts did at our one senior building. Is there I know it could easily slip through the cracks with everything that's going on, but is there a watering routine for those plantings that were planted?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I communicated with Ms. Zara today on that topic, and we don't have an outside water spigot, but we did work out a routine with our maintenance guy over there, Bobby, on pulling a hose out of the maintenance shop there. We don't think we've needed it so far. We've had a pretty good wet spring, but as the arid temperatures come, we are ready to do that. The other thing I talked to Ms. Zara, communicated with Ms. Zara about, is taking a look to see if there is a way that we could sneak a water spigot out to the outside of that building. So maybe we can. We're going to take a look at that over the next week, and if it's a nominal cost, we'll get a water spigot on the outside of the building.
Okay, good to hear. Thank you for following up on that. I know you have much bigger issues, so thank you.
I love that area. 220 and back at 221. Go take a look. It's looking really, really pretty. Thanks to the Girl Scouts. And they are interested in doing the other side of that driveway too, possibly this spring, early summer. So we're going to be working with them on the other side of that driveway as well.
Yeah, I told them that they would have to communicate with you about that because of the challenges we're dealing with. I couldn't ensure that you had the bandwidth, but if you do have the bandwidth, that would be great.
Yeah, it's not huge on our part. And so we're setting up a conference call for next week on that to brainstorm a little bit.
Great. Thank you so much. And if you could include me on that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, absolutely.
Right. Thanks a lot. All right. Do we have any other questions for the director? All right. As for like updates from the committees, I think we basically did that. Would you agree, Commissioner Impastato from the Resident Services Committee during the director's report?
Yes.
Okay. Great. So we will move on then to the first of the three resolutions tonight. Resolution number 2020-05.01, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to approve the meeting minutes for the April 9th, 2020 monthly board meeting. Although it doesn't seem to say minutes in the packet. Is that a problem, attorneys? It says the meeting.
If you'd like, you could, oh, yeah, I'm unmuted. If you'd like, you could make a motion to amend the caption of the resolution.
And let's dot our i's, I guess. So I make a motion to amend to say the meeting minutes as opposed to simply the meeting. Do I have a second for that motion to amend?
Second.
Great, thank you. All right, so if we could vote on that motion quickly and then vote on the resolution itself for the minutes.
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Abstain.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith.
Yes.
All right, and then,
If I could just interrupt for 1 second, Mr. Chair. Wendy, would it be possible to unmute Harold Patrick, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Done.
Thank you.
great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, and then now, we just made a motion to amend the resolution itself. I would recommend to Commissioner Smith that he abstain because he wasn't part of the meeting, and this is the approval of the meeting minutes. Am I correct in that, Counselor?
Well, that's very much up to the commissioner's judgment.
All right.
This would be the resolution to actually approve the minutes.
Yeah,
And
no, I
that's up
think it's
to
fine that he voted.
Commissioner Smith
Yeah.
as to whether or not he feels comfortable approving them or abstaining.
First true test.
Sure, he'll pass with flying colors. All right, so if we can have the vote, make a motion to approve the minutes. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All right.
Who said second? Oh,
I think it was Commissioner Impastato.
Commissioner Impastato.
okay, thank you.
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Abstain.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith.
He's muted.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see, resolution number 2020-05.02. A resolution authorizing the payment of the monthly list of bills for the Hoboken Housing Authority. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a
Motion.
motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right,
Second.
I'll lead with a question. The Clark Hayton and Hintz bill, Director, that's for the work in relation to the Housing for Hoboken work. Is that correct?
That's in relation to the New Jersey Housing Finance Agency project.
Okay.
That's
could
for
you
the
add just a little
large
bit?
project with the housing fund, the roofs and the roofs and the coming elevator project.
Okay.
That's for a number of months of their work on developing through bidding, getting that project up and moving.
Okay.
Mr.
And
Echo, like, did you want
Reimbursable through the
the,
Housing Finance Agency. Go on, Emma.
so like, chairperson, that's going back until July of 2019. We've gone back and forth, and they claim it's due. They've definitely done the work, and so it's like it's through from July up until December of 2019. The total contract value has not increased, and we're asking for that to be approved.
So we're seeing it now just because you were going back and forth with them over previous.
Yeah, like they've been billing us, and we've definitely gone back and forth. And right now, like we believe we should pay them.
Okay.
What you just said? You said they claim to do the work.
They have done the work. We have gone back and forth.
You just said claim to do the work, right?
No,
I didn't hear that.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Maybe
they've
I'm
clearly done
mis-
the work. They've clearly done the work. They have
Okay.
been with us on this project, and it's a very complicated project.
To Commissioner Impastado's, I did say that they claim to do the work.
Yeah,
but
that's what I heard.
The fact of the matter is, like, it's a fixed fee, and their fee has not increased. So I can't go there and like verify specifically, but they have billed us for services rendered, and this is from July up until December.
So, and maybe I'm just being naive here. I don't. If I'm paying someone to do $63,000 worth of work on my home, I'm gonna know exactly every single penny that the work was done for, right?
Yes.
So
Clearly.
if are we not? I'm just having I'm having a hard time hearing him say claim to do the work, unless he just said that as he misspoke. If we're not verifying every single dollar that was done, that it's still the same amount as the contract was intended for, we damn well better be sure that they did $63,525 worth of work, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure of that. I think Emil's meaning is that we don't sit in their office, as opposed to a regular contractor that when they put in a door, you pay them $500 for the door. With an architectural firm, they bill you for the work that's completed according to their agreement on a fixed fee agreement, and you move ahead. And they have been with us for the entire breadth of this project. In fact, they were looking for a little more for this because the Housing Finance Agency has, as you guys know, extended this project a little further. We thought we were going to be starting construction last year, and we're now into 2020, and they wanted a little more than this, and we said no. So we finally came down to this, which is according to their contract, and we're confident that they have performed every duty under their contract through the bidding process, through the negotiation process with the contractor, and we're in this place now.
Got it. Thank you for that, Director.
And we have work product to go with the work they're billing for.
We sure do.
All right.
We sure do. We have plans, specs, bids, everything's in line, in order, and done legally.
Okay.
Chairman, I have a few questions.
Sure. Please go ahead.
Number 6 says Hudson Realty Abstract Company title insurance and recording fees in connection with, and then it's cut off. It doesn't say what it's in connection with.
That's my mistake. Church bells are ringing. I apologize. I'm sitting outside. But it's in connection with the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency closing. So
okay.
Yeah, you're fading out on us, Emil.
That's title insurance.
Yeah, go on, Harold.
I know
It's
that.
title insurance and all the related costs for the title insurance and searching for all 5 of the separate Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency loans, all of which we will be reimbursed from the Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency for purchasing.
Got it. Thank you, Harold. The next question I have is number 17, the Circle Networks website development and technology consulting. What, Emma, if you can just tell me what the original contract number was for the development of the website, and how much of that have we spent, and is this part of that, or is this additional to that?
I can give you the original number. This is outside of that, but I don't.
So what is this for?
This is for day to day, like if Daniel or Lourdes or myself will ask Wendy, who's on the line, will ask for certain services. I can give you the number that she charges. That's the fee. And this is
Okay.
for a 6-month period.
Are we getting billed right now for her to be on this call?
Yes.
Okay, and do we need to have her on this call to be billed?
I think eventually I would suggest.
I can handle the, yeah, I can handle the Zoom call myself if that's needed.
Yeah, I think as we get better at this, but I think right now with the legalities of having a board meeting where we may have to let people in, let people out, making sure I decided that the first couple times through here, we better have somebody helping us through. And so we asked Ms. Wendy if she would do that.
What's her rate?
Oh, I don't remember. Wendy, do you know what it is?
Yeah, it's $65
$65 an hour.
an hour.
Okay, so Director, we'll probably just look to see if someone in your staff can handle the call moving forward. It doesn't make sense to me to spend $200 a night, a month on a Zoom call admin. I handle the Zoom call for many calls that, you let someone in the meeting room, you let someone out. I'm pretty sure someone in your staff can handle that. The next one under monthly contractual expenses, there's
Sorry, I gotta ask a question. What does that exactly mean? Does that mean not have an admin for these Zoom meetings?
It means, so I have 4 Zoom calls that I run, and I act as the admin, and that's what Wendy is doing right now. It's, in my opinion, as simple. I'm very confident that Lourdes or Emil or someone on Mark's staff could handle being the admin for the Zoom call. That's what it means.
Okay. And we're only spending $200 to have an admin.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, yes.
Wendy, thank you for your work.
Wendy, I hope you don't think that I'm knocking your work.
No, not at all. I'm here to help.
I don't know when the housing authority became so financially strong that we can't question $200, but that $200 could easily go to cleaning and disinfecting another stairwell that's in complete mess. So if you want me to find the $200 and where it could be spent, I have no problem reaching out to our residents and getting those ideas, which I'm sure they'll be full of it.
Yeah, but I have a question, Andy. Wait, I have a question. If you run the admin or someone in the director's office run the admin, and next thing you know, people are saying we're cutting them off, we have a problem.
Yeah, we're not, okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, we're not having any commissioners. We're not gonna have any commissioners running the admin, and certainly not without a vote of this body, all right? So
I'm definitely, I totally agree with that.
I appreciate all the comments that have been made in all directions, and obviously, Wendy has been doing a great job, and I commend her for that. I think this has been discussed enough. So.
Okay, next one, the line number 14 under monthly contractual expenses. It says the replacement of 2 cameras. 6360. Can we just, can you explain what the replacement is for?
Yeah, so
What-
the majority of that expense was about $3,000 at 300 and 310 Marshall Drive. There were 2 cameras that were damaged.
How were they
hot
damaged?
Cameras. I would have to ask Livia, or like I don't know
I can
the
tell you.
specifics of it.
I can tell you they're pulled off the wall. They're
Sorry,
pulled
Mayor.
off the wall, and we have the video, and we're meeting with the police on it to try to identify and press charges.
Got it. Thank you for that. I think there was one more, or is that it? Cameras. Oh, NW Financial Planning and Project Management. Is that's part of an existing contract? That's not the one that we voted to table.
Yeah, but it's their existing contract, and the question that we tabled was the future year.
Okay.
That's their existing contract.
Thank you for the explanation. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Emil.
No worries.
All right, does anybody else have any questions about the list of bills for this month? All right, if we could have a vote then, please, Executive Director.
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
No.
A. Lewitt.
He's
You're
on
muted.
mute.
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Abstain.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith.
Yes.
All right, and then the final resolution for this evening is resolution number 2020-05.03, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the City of Hoboken to reject all bids for a general construction services contract. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Executive Director, could you give us a little color as to why this bid had to be rejected?
We had an irregularity in bidding. There was a bidder that kind of at the last minute requested a bid. A bid package. We didn't see it and did not get the bid package out, so they were not able to bid. And so we thought that was totally unfair, and I'm sure it is legally. So we're going back out to bid again so that person will have the opportunity to bid in all fairness.
Okay. All right. All right, any questions from anybody on the board? All right, if we could have a vote, please.
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
Abstain.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith.
Yes.
All right, before we move on to the public portion, just a quick question, Director. You and I had talked offline about the bidding for contracts to so that we can move forward with potentially adding the former YMCA residents, move along the process of getting them the special sort of vouchers that you get in single occupancy units. Do you still anticipate that will be ready for us to select from bids at the next meeting?
You will have in front of you in the June meeting a recommendation for a consultant to work with us on developing the admin plan and putting out the RFP for project-based units. Now that RFP goes out for project-based units. Anyone could apply for that. But that RFP, that individual or firm, we will have to you at the June board meeting.
I'm sorry, we will have what? That individual or firm?
We will have an individual or firm, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Just to clarify, Chair,
Yes.
the process requires that the authority take RFPs from enterprises that are interested in requesting the opportunity to have project-based vouchers.
Right.
We cannot specify a specific location in advance.
Okay.
So it's really a two-step process. We need a consultant to be able to put together the package. The RFP will be the result of that package. Then there are other administrative steps that have to be taken. And then we would have to receive RFPs and make a determination of the board as to who might be successful.
Okay. All right, well, that's great. I want to do everything according to procedure, but I also want to move things along as quickly as possible, so. All right, good to hear. All right, so I guess now it's time to move on to the public portion. And Ms. Wendy earning her money. It's if you could.
Would you like me to answer?
Is anybody queued up to speak?
Well done, Mello.
There's a Q&A, Barbara Rice saying that my apologies, but the statement is not true. Seniors and disabled in resident buildings are not automatically receiving these services. The families must call to request the services, unlike the senior buildings where it is automatically provided.
Okay.
This is back then when you guys were discussing that.
All right, I do want to address that, even though we don't normally at a live meeting address things directly, but, and Commissioner Bastato, please join me in addressing this. I believe the way it's been working is there have been certain packages of items that have been going to all seniors in the senior buildings. And then there's been an effort, because we obviously have seniors who don't live in senior only buildings, our 3 buildings, or the 3 buildings that are privately run within Hoboken, that there's been an effort to identify seniors that live in family housing in our units, and even family housing outside of the housing authority, and that's probably a little more hit and miss because it's not aren't perfectly identified. So that might be where Ms. Reyes is perceiving that people have to call in. Am I getting that right?
And I am concerned on this because we clearly identified our elderly and disabled population to both the city food program and to the food bank. So they have a good list, an accurate list of our senior and disabled that are not families that are not living at our senior developments. And again, if Danny Perez could comment, Danny, can you assure us that those 200 and some families have been serviced on a regular basis?
Yes, we do receive the food pantry deliveries, and we bring them to the seniors based on the list that we have provided to the food pantry and, of course, the city. Resident leader Joe McDonald, myself, and other volunteers make these deliveries. There has been maybe an instance or so where we meet a senior that will say, I have not received anything. We check back on the list and check also with my volunteers, and they say they have. For individuals whom we received an email or a text or call stating that they have not received anything, I personally visit that individual, and then if they have been missed because the food pantry hasn't given us anything, then we immediately bring them those groceries or those meals. So I would encourage anyone that knows of a senior, disabled, or family that has not received any of these items to please let us know, because we are following the list that we have provided the city as well as the food pantry. Is it possible that someone may be missed? Anything is possible in this crisis, but we are out there every single day making sure that deliveries are being made. However, if anyone knows of anyone living at the housing authority that has not received anything, if they say any meals or any groceries, please email the director with name, address, additional contact information, and we'll go back on our list and make sure to serve those seniors. Our goal at the Housing Authority is to make sure that during this, any other situation, we serve our community. And my belief is that during this crisis, the director, the rest of the staff, and the resident volunteers have worked extremely hard to make sure that our families, our seniors, and our disabled population receive what we also receive from donors and also from the city and other individuals that, of course, want to make sure to provide in meeting the needs of our residents. So anyone out there that, you know, has not received, please reach out to the director, reach out to me, and we'll make sure to deliver to them anything that they need. But we are out there every single day. We're making sure that anything that we receive, we deliver to these residents. And we sometimes go back 2 and 3 times in one day because sometimes the residents are not there, just to make sure that they receive it. So please, again, I reiterate, anyone that's out there, if you know your neighbors, please check on your neighbors. And if you see that for some reason they haven't received anything, I think the best thing to do will be to contact the director because we know our residents, and we'll be able to communicate that to our donors and also our partners in the city.
Director, is there a checkoff list?
Your voice sounds off.
I didn't hear what you said with that interference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a list every day?
Can you lean in closer, Mark? That might be the problem.
His Wi-Fi.
Every day? That is checked off every day?
I can't understand that.
Would you like to turn off the video for a sec and see if it's better?
Is there a list every day? And is there a check off on this list every day?
No, that's no better.
Not recommend.
It's his connection.
You mute yourself and unmute yourself. Maybe try that.
Why is this any better?
No, that's no better.
I don't have a different microphone. I don't know what happened. I'm going to do fine.
Director, I can't understand.
And you'll know my question. Could we rephrase it?
We receive a list from the food pantry, and then we check off according to our deliveries. In terms of all of the numbers, we can coordinate with the food pantry and provide that for you. But yeah, every time we make a delivery, we make sure and we check off on that. So
if I pull up, April, 17th, you'll have a list of everybody that received groceries or hand sanitizer.
I should be able to have something like that, although I don't think April 17 was a delivery date. Now, I want to reiterate, sanitizers, I think we continue to mention sanitizers and other items like that. Those are items that are scarce. We do not get those items unless there is a specific donor that is able to get those items. We do not receive for all of the residents or all of the seniors at the Housing Authority. So the only the only buildings that receive sanitizers were the senior buildings, but that's because the city was the one that did that.
We did that. We did that through the senior task force. But
okay, great. But
we had enough hand sanitizer and Lysol equipment for all. So the question then is, the 80 units that did get it on the main campus, did you check off and you can identify which 80 units?
Yes, we can. I can provide that for you tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Daniel, if you could provide that to everybody in the Resident Services Committee, just so.
Will do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cross-check with the food pantry for sure.
Will do.
All right.
Mr. Chair, with respect to public comment,
Yes.
my understanding from from Lord's is that there are some comments that have been received by email in advance. So at some point we should get to them. And there are also some individuals, including I know Barbara Reyes, who asked that question, who is on the call at the moment. So it may be appropriate to go to members of the public who are participating live.
Yeah, let's
they have comment.
down the list of public comments. So I guess we'll start with the people who are queued up on the phone. So who's queued up first on the phone?
Would you guys want me to read the chat or just open it up for everybody to speak?
Well, let's open up the phone calls first, since those people are actually live and waiting.
And then just to answer that slightly, Wendy, one of the series of comments on the chat was from someone who is participating and may want to make those comments loud. Might negate the need for reading the chat.
Okay, so should I just allow all to talk or individual? Because otherwise.
One at a time, please.
Yep. Okay, so I've got this echo. I'm gonna mute people. 201 339 40. Hold on one second.
That's Harold Fitzpatrick.
I think that sounds like me, Wendy.
Okay, then there's also 201 204 6691.
That would be me, Pat Waiter, standing by.
I'm sorry, I can't understand you.
All right, Pat, I think you need to turn off any sound device that's putting this meeting sound-wise through your computer, and you just need to speak into the phone, and I can assure you we'll hear you.
And who is this talking?
It's Patricia Waiters.
Okay.
All right, so we recognize Patricia Waiters. Pat, if you could, before you speak, please turn off any speakers, any sound devices that are making sound in the background, whether it be this meeting or otherwise. Thank you.
Okay, and then I also got 201 538 3149.
Well, if we could start with Pat Waiters speaking, that'd be great.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Pat Waiter. Gotcha.
Floor is yours, Pat.
Allow to talk, promote. Okay. Okay, she's in. Hi, Pat.
She's muted.
Pat, you have to unmute yourself. You have to press the icon shaped like a microphone with the word mute under it.
All right, I got it.
Got it.
Now you can hear me?
Yes, you can, but you have to turn off all sound devices in your end, please.
I cut it off. You keep saying, all right, it's off. I'm not gonna get disconnected, am I?
Absolutely not.
Okay, I'll cut it off. Now you can hear me, Mr. Mello?
Sure can.
Okay. Now, I just want to real briefly say, I'm watching all of the numbers with respect to donations and the whole process of the donations. When you get those results tomorrow with numbers what they're saying, I'm still getting a whelming over amount of calls where there's seniors and disabled people telling me they still not receiving those products that I've seen posting photos with respect to Lysol and gloves and masks. It's sad, Mr. Mello, Council President, that they are abusing the system at a time like this. That's one main topic issue I want to go over. Even the funding that's coming in from Trenton and also the appointment to the seat. I'm very disappointed, because there's people like me tonight. I caught hell trying to get on social media to talk to you on communication. There's communication lines broken off for a lot of people that cannot afford the internet, cannot afford to go on Zoom. thank God tonight somebody helping me out with this. With respect to that housing authority appointment seat, I am sick to my stomach. But I promised myself priorities first, making sure everybody stays safe and everybody be okay during this pandemic. But still, we got to get back to normal. And when things do get back to normal, I refuse to keep being overlooked and disrespected. Tonight, what took place with those appointments is like a total disrespecting to me. 10 years putting in applications, and now to do the process at the time of a pandemic, I didn't even know about the cutoff date. Why would you have a cutoff date? What about the people that applied prior to this mess? Our applications just go in the garbage? That's not right. I had an application in. I make sure I make deadlines. And to overlook me, from what I'm hearing, it was the mayor's appointment. I am going to be reaching out back to Beverly at Governor Oliver's office to see exactly what's going on. And it's time for the commissioners, along with the housing authority, council people, and the governor. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. I'm asking for a forensic investigation onto why I'm being discriminated. For me, who I am and the color of my skin. Why am I being discriminated for that seat? It's disgusting. There's no other reason you could give me with respect to qualification. I'm overqualified and I'm still involved. My paperwork speaks for itself. And to keep picking random people, throwing on that board, taking a known disregard to who I am, the people in housing still confined me. Now, I know I could collect you over 2,000 signatures tomorrow if you need to justify what I'm saying. I'm hurt. And it's not about me, it's about the people. I'm going to wrap it up with saying you guys stay safe. Thanks for recognizing me. And I'm going to get on my bike and get ready with respect to getting to the bottom of this. And I need you commissioners' help. Please be honest and be fair. I need you guys' help. I'm tired of dirty politics as usual. Thank you, guys. Everybody stay safe, and I'm praying for everyone. Good night.
All right.
Am I on mute?
Thank you, Ms. Waiters.
No, you're unmuted. Sorry.
Okay, I just want to point out that I agree with Ms. Waiters that everybody should stay safe. I want to clarify that I believe she's talking about an appointment to the Housing Authority Board, and that is not the purview of the Housing Authority Board. That's the purview of other parties.
Right. Yeah, and just to re-emphasize for the public's benefit, because most people that I've ever had conversations with about this don't seem to understand it. There are 7 seats on this board. And, you know, probably part of the confusion is that it's been a long time since we've had all 7 seats filled. But there are 7 seats on this board. 5 of those seats are filled by a vote of the city council. 1 seat is filled by a selection from the mayor of the city of Hoboken. And the other seat is filled by the DCA, the Director of Community Affairs in Trenton. Now, historically, that Director of Community Affairs often takes the advice of the governor. So sometimes it's called the governor's pick. And often governors just, you know, if they have a good rapport with a local government, they might take advice from a mayor or any number of elected officials or community leaders when it comes to that pick. But that pick is officially, according to the law, the DCA pick. So you have a DCA pick, a mayoral pick, and 5 Hoboken City Council picks. That's it. So.
Commissioner Sanford, I'd just like to add, if Ms. Waiters is still listening, my 5-year term on the board did end. I'm currently in holdover status, and you are more than welcome, and I encourage you to apply to the city council, to the city clerk, and for my seat. I have submitted a reapplication, and I think other people have submitted applications, and I believe all applications should be considered equally and fairly. So please get your application in there, Patricia. It's, you know, this might be my last meeting in 7 years, so probably won't see or hear from you again, but give it a shot, Patricia.
Yeah, and to add on to what Commissioner Sanford just offered, Pat, you might also want to confirm whether or not you have a live application, because those applications stay good for quite some time. that are submitted to the city clerk. And I'm pretty sure you have submitted applications in the past. So you might just simply need to get in touch with Jimmy Freena, Jerry Lohr, somebody in the city clerk's office, and just confirm whether or not you need to put in a new application. If you do need to put in a new application, I believe it has to be in, I'm dusting off my memory from city council days, I believe it has to be in 10 days before it can be considered.
And if I could, Mr. Chair, just one other quick point, something Ms. Wader said. The Housing Authority does recognize the limitations presented by the current situation in terms of technology and certain members of the public who might not have access to Zoom, to a computer. And a telephone option was provided for this meeting, was provided for last month's meeting. And going forward, any meeting that requires a similar situation will be provided then as well. So I would just encourage Ms. Waiters, if there's anybody she knows that has issues connecting by computer or anything like that, there is a telephone option where you can call in and participate. So that will be available for any future meeting held in this manner.
All right, thank you for adding that. All right, Wendy, is there anybody else on the phone? I thought you had mentioned Ms. Reyes.
There's just, hold on. So Patricia, you said, thanks David for your input. I have my applications in for years. I'm very well aware of the process and I know I keep my applications in on time. So she is still on and listening.
All right, good to hear.
Yep. There's no more questions in Q&A and not in the chat box. And Daniel and Lourdes, do you guys get anything from the email?
Emails, correct?
Yeah, Director has the email that came in earlier.
Okay.
Well, you may want to open it up to anyone else who is listening in. I don't know if anyone else would like to speak, but for example, I know Ms. Reyes, who did participate in the Q&A portion, is participating. And there are a few other individuals' numbers I don't recognize.
Sure. Yeah, no, I thought that's what I meant to ask.
Hello?
Is there anybody else on the phone?
Understood.
All right, so we recognize Ms. Reyes. I see your name up there.
Yes, how are you? Hello?
Good.
Can you
How are
guys hear me?
you? I'm going to mute myself, so if you have the floor, Ms. Reyes.
Okay. I actually submitted my questions earlier today through your email address, but since I'm on here, I might as well just read it so we don't have, it doesn't have to be repetitive. A lot of the questions were answered already. It was just stated that on April 20th, 2020, HUD announced that housing authorities would receive money under the CARES Act to combat COVID-19. The Hoboken Housing Authority was among one of the highest, along with Jersey City, to be awarded over $1 million. My question was, how would the housing authority use this money? Will some of the money be utilized to hire more maintenance to ensure that the buildings are kept clean, as this has been a major issue? Or will money also be utilized to provide the maintenance workers that are currently working with PPE gear, which I feel is very needed as they deal with the garbage all day? And as we all know, we have had many residents who have been affected by COVID, and it puts them at great danger. And unfortunately, I see my maintenance guy every day, and he only has a mask and gloves, and I feel like they should be wearing entire gears. Suits, hazmat suits, if you want to call that. My second question was, anyone who knows me knows that I love my seniors, and they should be among the first to be assisted. Through COVID-19, so much has been done for the disabled and seniors housed in the senior buildings, but not as much has been done in the family residential buildings. I heard Danny's remarks today, and I am so sorry, but I have to call it how it is. It's not true what's happening. I live in this community. I know my community. I know for a fact that many of our disabled individuals and seniors in our residential buildings are not receiving the same services. They're not even aware of what is being provided. They're not even aware of what number to call for the food pantry. And I deal with this on a daily basis because of my agency, yes, we are closed physically, but we are working remotely. And one of our tasks has been to contact our clients at the Housing Authority to see what their needs are. And we have partnered with the food pantry, and we send them a list of the individuals in the residential buildings who need services, not only in the Housing Authority, but across Hoboken. So I know this for a fact that the buildings, the residential buildings, the seniors and disabled are not receiving the same services as the senior buildings. Earlier this month, for instance, this is a great example. Earlier this month, a donation was made from a pizzeria in Hoboken, which was greatly appreciated, but the event was posted 2 days after the fact. When I asked when it was and how the families were made aware, I was inboxed by a councilwoman who informed me that the donation was actually organized through the Hoboken Housing Authority and that it was directed for 200 units in the HHA that they had identified as having a resident who was disabled or elderly. But in reality, that was not the case, because once again, many disabled and elderly households were not aware. My question is that how are residents being informed of any assistance being provided to the residents? Social media has not been instrumental in informing the residents, and neither has the HHA website. How are you looking to improve communication with the residents? And can you see how this makes it look to us, the residents, the perception that only certain people are being helped, those who knows, basically those who know who's coordinating the donations or volunteers, and not everyone? I also want to say that I know I have been very vocal as well as critical of the things that are happening in the HHA, but I need you guys to all understand that I live in this community. I go through what the residents are going through with them. I'm not being told, I'm living it. So my criticism and my advocacy comes from the passion I have to help my community. I would like to take this time also to thank the Hoboken Police Department and the Chief Ferranti for helping us with the issues happening in our HHA buildings with the homelessness, the drug issues. I'm happy to inform this board today that for the last 2 weeks, within the last 2 weeks, of course, the issues have not stopped, but within the last 2 weeks, there has been less drug users, less homelessness, less dealings in the buildings. You know it's getting better when your own maintenance person from the HHA staff tells you that they're surprised that they're not walking into the same things that they were walking into 2 weeks ago. So lastly, I would also like to welcome on our board Mr. Smith, as well as thank all the other board members who have been working to assist the residents. I think communication is key to letting the residents know you are here to represent them on the board, as well as to assist the HHA and to ensure that the residents are kept safe and are able to obtain necessary resources during this difficult time. So I thank you for your time. My last comment is in reference to the administrator with the Zoom meeting. We have Zoom meetings all the time. We've never needed an administrator, and I'm not taking away from her job. But honestly, as Ms. Empasado stated before, there are so many more needs. I mean, I understand that it's $200, but if you're doing this for 3 months, that's $600 that can go into services or into even cleaning supplies that can be used into our buildings. So I hope that you guys all listen to this. I thank you all for all that you're doing. And I just hope to continue to work with you guys. And I apologize if I have been very critical, but like I stated previously, I live in this community. So it's personal to me where everyone else goes home. So thank you.
All right,
Thank you, Barbara.
Just to address a few things Ms. Reyes said, certainly the money there was extra money that was received from the federal government for the COVID crisis that has already been discussed in our Resident Services Committee. Updates with the director, certainly putting that money towards what will amount to extra cleaning. And making sure that we continue to do the cleanings we do when people have to quarantine and different situations like that has absolutely been discussed. And we can bring up whether it's feasible for us to spend that money on more extensive PPE as well. And then when it comes to the things, the various things that have been given away, I could just assure you, and Commissioner Impostado, please tell me if I'm saying anything wrong here. I mean, it's a pretty wide net that's been involved in these things, and the food pantry has given me zero indication that they have any interest in cutting anybody out. So I think as long as somebody passes their information on to the food pantry and their many volunteers, I have full confidence that they will be addressed. They've created quite a machine over there, and they're doing a very good job. And maybe you could even comment on how best to get on the list for the food pantry. I know you're involved with that.
Yes, absolutely. We are available through our 1-855-OK-HOPE. It's a toll-free number. You just connect to our community programs department, and you can speak to any one of our advocates, and they will allow you to, they will place you on a spreadsheet where it is sent to the Tony, the person handling the food pantry, and she then gets in touch with us and lets us know when the delivery is going to be made, and my staff in turn, after the delivery is made, then calls the next day to verify that that food has been received and that the resident has actually received the service. So it's an ongoing, just making sure that yes, people that are needing this service are actually getting it. So we have been working with that, not only HHA residents, Hoboken across the board. We're doing it for everyone. So it's an open number. We're open to the entire community. So please feel free to call us. And we're also available to help with food stamps, emergency assistance through the welfare department. We can do everything remotely. So if you know of any families, the site managers, if they become aware of any families that are in need, they're not receiving unemployment and need assistance with food stamps immediately, our staff can apply them, and we follow up with the director of the Hudson County Board of Social Services, who helps us to actually expedite the application.
Okay, thank you for all of that and all of your service. Greatly appreciated. Okay, I see. Well, who else we have in the queue that is from the public? Do we have anybody else that's waiting to speak from the public?
Currently, everyone should be able to speak freely.
All right, then, Lourdes, could we have you read those emails into the record now for anybody who hasn't had a chance to speak?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
I'm
the
on
director,
I'm on the phone now.
Okay, the director has that email, Chair.
Okay, there's the one email, and that's the one that Barbara Reyes referred to, saying that she would speak the email rather than having it read.
Okay.
So that's been taken care of.
Are there any other emails?
No. Lourdes? No?
No, no more.
No.
Okay, so then I guess that ends the public portion.
Dave, I have a question for you.
Yes, Commissioner Foreman.
Yeah, who is the CZA commissioner?
Commissioner Seitzman.
Yes.
No, I don't mean it. I mean, who is the, I'm sorry, down in Trenton, who is the CZA, who's the person from the CZA?
Is currently Lieutenant Governor Oliver. Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver is the commissioner of the DCA.
You're asking who the commissioner of DCA is that correct?
Correct. So it's the Lieutenant Governor, Sheila Oliver.
Correct. Yes, Matthew answered the question correctly, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So thank you.
She is both the commissioner of DCA and the lieutenant governor. Elected lieutenant governor and selected by the governor to be the commissioner of DCA, one of his cabinet.
All right. Okay, thank you for that answer. Just wanted to make sure.
All right. All right. Okay, so do we have any new business? Do we have any new business or any requests to go into closed session or anything of that sort?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to go in a closed session.
All right, do we have a second?
The first thing you need, Chair,
guidance.
is to be told what the purpose of the closed session would be. Under the law, we're limited as to what we can go into closed session for, and we need to specify that. Commissioner Sanford?
Sorry, my connection is failing. It's a bit spotty. So there's been a 4 or 5 second delay. You hear me?
Yeah, it's breaking up.
Okay. I'll try to be as quick as possible. This resolution would be to discuss potential litigation, and action may be taken by the board during closed session.
Well, two parts to that. One is if the purpose is to discuss future potential litigation, that would be an appropriate subject for closed session. If we do go into closed session for that, it would require, as the chair said, a resolution to be considered. At that point, if we were in closed session, we'd have to limit our discussion to that purpose.
I'm sorry, I only heard a part of what you said. If you're able to understand what I'm trying to do, would you please word resolution to that effect?
Okay, but what I'm also doing, Commissioner, is giving you guidance if we were to go into closed session as to what the scope of the discussion would be. Would have to be limited to that purpose. And if we engage in discussion, I would assume, given the COVID limitations on this meeting, that we would inform the public that we will not be taking any action as a result of that discussion at this meeting, and that we would then remove all the public from the discussion, and they would not be afforded an opportunity to return later.
So would considering a resolution be considered action?
Considering a resolution in closed session?
Yes.
It definitely would be, yes.
Then I would like to put a resolution forward in closed session. So action may be taken.
I think that might be a problem under the COVID rules that make it clear that closed sessions under COVID circumstances are to be handled very carefully, and that exclusion of the public in a circumstance like this almost limits our ability to take any action.
Okay. And my concern is that this is very likely to be my last meeting, and I will not have an opportunity to put forward this resolution.
Well, to the chair, if you even were to consider this resolution, you need someone to put it forward, which would be a resolution to go into closed session for purposes of discussing potential future litigation. And then you need a second, and then you need a vote.
Well, okay, but if this runs anything like council meetings ran, I would imagine that what we are telling the public is that we're going into closed session. We're going to vote on, and then if the vote prevails, that we would be going into closed session to discuss potential litigation, and that we give them a time that we're going to go into closed session for, and then when we come out of closed session, we will either directly move to a vote to adjourn the meeting, or we will put up a resolution for vote. But as long as we have a time certain, I would think it's not problematic to come out of closed session and continue the meeting again.
Can you move over to?
Well, that's at the discretion of the board.
All right, so might I suggest that Commissioner Sanford make a motion to go into closed session for how much time are you suggesting we go into closed session for?
Depends how long the discussion is. Could be half an hour, could be an hour. But I would like to make a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing potential litigation, and after the discussion, action may be taken.
All right, Mr. Fitzpatrick, could you give us guidance as to whether or not a time has to be specified if we are not adjourning the meeting until after we go into closed session?
Well, that's my point with respect to what I said about the limitations under COVID. The state has already anticipated this and suggested that if anything were to be discussed, it would be better to then be returned to a future meeting. I understand the commissioner's point that that may not be possible for him, but I can't give you any guidance as to how to set a limit other than to come back out at some point, perhaps a half an hour from now, and tell the public further whether or not you're prepared to act or go back into closed session. There's no real way to control this. That's the reason why the state discourages it.
All right, well,
Well, I will agree to word my resolution to allow us 1 hour for closed session.
not a resolution. You're making a motion. If I'm not wrong, Mr. Fitzpatrick, I believe the commissioner has to make a motion to have consideration for a vote to go into closed session. And I'm saying that based on my experience, it's best to put that motion in the form of a determined period of time.
Well, I think that's what the commissioner just suggested. He would say that we're coming back out, what, at 10 o'clock?
Yes.
And one of two things would happen. Either we come out and inform the public as to what we're about to consider in public, or we'll come back out and close the meeting.
All right, so that's the motion. And we need a second if that motion's going to prevail. Or then we need a second for it to be voted on, and then we have to see if it's going to prevail, correct?
Correct.
All right, so is there a second?
Well, I'm lost now. Hold on a second. So, did he make the motion yet?
Yes.
Yes, I made the
He
motion.
made a motion to go into closed session for purposes of potential litigation for 1 hour and come back out and announce where we stand at that point.
We have to vote as a body to go into closed session. We don't take a vote on things unless there is a motion and a second.
Okay, I'll second it because it's his last meeting.
All right, so you second it.
Thank you.
All right, so now we need to have a vote.
This is a vote on whether or not the authority goes into closed session for an hour to discuss potential future litigation.
Let's be
Are we ready?
10 o'clock.
Ready for a vote? H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
No.
A. Lewitt,
Oh, he's muted. Mr. Lewitt, you're muted.
No.
D. Mello,
No.
J. Sanford,
Yes.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
and L. Smith.
I'm going to abstain.
Motion fails. 3-3-1. You need
Motion
4
to close?
affirmative votes.
I'll second the motion to close. Can we have a vote?
Second.
H. Foreman,
Yes.
A. Impastato,
Yes.
A. Lewitt,
Yes.
D. Mello,
Yes.
J. Sanford,
No.
E. Seitzman,
Yes.
L. Smith.
Yes.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you for
Good night. Stay safe.
Welcome, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, all.
Good night, all.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Phyllis.
Thank you, Director. Bye, Phyllis. Stay safe.
All right,
Thank
fellas.
you. Bye.
Everyone.